Hello everybody, and welcome back to the repair bench. Here I have a Crystal Castles PCB. This is my second one that I've looked at, and since I've already got the harness built, I don't have to do that. I just go grab it out of my tote of harnesses and plug it in. Upon initial inspection, this thing looks like it's had some work done to it. We got this row of rams, looks like it was socketed, I think. No, that looks like factory work, kinda. No, those were replaced. Yeah, those were definitely replaced. But it doesn't look bad. Yeah, doesn't really look bad, so that's good. Kind of some weirdness maybe there. Not, I don't think that's a big deal. Yeah, so initial inspection, I don't really see anything that jumps out as bad so far. That'll be worth looking into a little bit. That will definitely be worth looking into. I don't know if that's... I don't know what's going on there. Yeah, it looks like there's a couple of places to take a look at. But all in all, I think it looks okay. I'll complete that and do a more thorough inspection. But yeah, where was that? Right here. This guy right here. This guy right here. Those two right there I really got to look at. LS 169. I don't even know what an LS 169 is. Alright, well, let's get the harness out. Let's plug this thing in and plug it in and see what happens. Okay, I got my Crystal Castles harness set up. Got it plugged in. Parts. So let's go ahead and fire this thing up and see what happens. Power LED's on, that's good. It's giving me a code. Okay, the screen you can see is just kind of garbagey. Okay. Okay, my dad just popped in on me real quick and I had to talk to him for a minute, but yeah, we're going to go in, and this thing was beeping high twice and then low 5 times, over and over. 2 high beeps and then 5 low beeps. So we're going to go look at the manual and see what the self-test procedure, see what that means. So let's go inside and jump on the computer. Okay guys, this is the Crystal Castle's manual, and I'm in the self-test procedure section, chapter 2 of the manual, and you can see right here, remember we had 2 high tones and then 5 lows, and you can see that's our second sequence there, high high, low low, low low low, and it says RAM at 4F. So we'll go out and check out 4F and put a new one in there and see if we get any difference. Okay, I've replaced 4F, that's this guy right here. So let's go ahead and fire it up. And we'll go right into test mode. And we are on. Okay. I'm going to turn the volume down. It's doing the same thing. It's telling us that that same RAM is no good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my scope on every one of these pins and make sure there's activity on every pin. So let me set up and do that. Okay, this is actually a job I can do with my logic probe. So that's what I'll do, is I'll hook my logic probe up and just probe all the pins, the addressing pins, the data pins, and make sure that they're doing something. Ground. And I'm not seeing 5 volts, a 5 volt lug. Oh well, we'll just use this. Okay. So let's go ahead and start with pin 1, go all the way around. something really weird is going on here. Power to these RAM chips is flip-flopped. Pin 6 or 18. Pin 18 is supposed to be power, and pin 9 is supposed to be ground. Why are they flip-flopped? I need to get on my phone and pull up a pinout of a 2114. Yeah. What in the hell is going on? Pin number 18 is supposed to be positive power. $44.16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This may be a different type of RAM that I'm not aware of. Even regardless, this 2114 I put in there is probably cooked because its power is reversed. I'm going to type in 4416 RAM. 4416 RAM. I've never heard of a 4416 RAM. Yep, 4416 RAM chip. VSS. VSS is 18, which would be ground. VDD is pin 9. So this is a RAM. Oh shit, yeah. Let's turn this off. This guy absolutely cooked. Ah. This is a RAM chip that I've never seen this. A 4416 has the power rails reversed. So ground is on pin 18 and voltage in is on pin 9. It's very strange. I'm going to do a little experiment and I'm just going to flip-flop one of these and see if we get a different beep pattern. So this is the bad one right here. This was the bad one. So I'm going to put it in here now. And this one I'm going to put over here now. I'm going to put my volume back up and turn it on. Remember, it was high, high, low, 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 low. Okay, I don't think this is a RAM problem. This poor guy got cooked. So that's garbage. 4416 RAMs, that's a new one. Okay. Someone was desperately trying to fix this problem. There's a lot of replaced parts. You know what I think I'm going to do? I think I'm going to remove all the sockets that were put in the board. I think I'm going to go through and just remove them all. There's not that many. I guess before I do that, I'll just do a beep through. I'll beep stuff out. Yeah, it looks like somebody was desperate trying to figure this problem out. They started replacing stuff. Okay. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through and try beeping some stuff out, you know. Just make sure this RAM bank is not shorted out. Okay. It doesn't really... I want to revisit this area right here. Remember that funky looking stuff? Doesn't seem to be no shorting there. It's still ugly. Okay, yeah, I just kind of cleaned up that one area. This area right here that we were looking at before. Just cleaned it with my little brush. Got in there and got that nonsense out of there. Cleaned it up. It wasn't shorted, but looks a lot better now. So, well, I suppose I could just go ahead and throw the Fluke on this thing. See what happens. Yeah, let's do that. Alright, let me get set up. Well, I just got to probing around a little bit with my logic probe, and I was checking this guy out. And I went down, here, let me show you. Let me turn it on. I got the volume down because I don't want to hear that annoying nonsense. But if I probe this guy, now this is a 245. And you know that on a 245, ground is pin 10, right? Here's pin, that's pin 10 of this guy, 244. Pin 10. Okay, now if let's turn this off. Now we're turning back off. I have one lead right here on the ground lug, see? Ground plane. Ground. Right? These chips, all TTL, basically bottom. The bottom of row 1 of the left side row is always ground, right? This chip is not grounded. Okay. Ground, 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 no ground. So I am going to remove this socket and look at the work underneath it, because it's just not grounded. So we'll have to fix that. And that should not be a hard thing to fix at all. So let's take care of that. Okay, this is not even a dual wipe socket. See that? This is an old junky style socket that was used. Is that new? Someone did that? Yeah, that goes right there. That's that guy right there, and that was replaced. Someone put that junk socket in this board. And there's another one right here. That's a junk socket. This one's a junk socket. This one I can see the dual wipe. So that one I will leave. This one I can see the dual wipe, I think. Yep. See the little metal wipe tabs in there? This guy, I don't see them. This one I will replace. No, this one. I'm going to replace that one. That one. That one's okay. So we got 1, 2, and 3. 3 sockets. These 3 sockets right here, I'm going to remove right now. And just taking a look at the board here, there's another socket up here, right here by these 2 graphics ROMs. I think they're graphics ROMs. This socket was replaced too, and you can see it looks pretty, it's pretty shaky. So I am going to remove that guy too. Okay guys, I removed this guy and saw this. This has 2 bad traces. You see them? I removed the socket and it came out just like that. Those are bad traces right there. You see, let me come away for a minute. Sorry. Okay. Where am I? Okay. You see how this kind of moves? That's not connected. And neither is this. They're not connected to those through holes. So that's a bad trace right there. And I saw that and I decided to remove all of these guys. Except for the RAM ones, I did not. I will double check and beep these out again. Based off of the pinout, based of, you know, what should be connected to where. I should actually go through the schematic and trace everything out. That's a pain in the ass though. I don't know. Maybe I should just remove them. Let's. If I have problems after doing all this, then I'll revisit this. But first thing I need to do is do a trace repair up here. This right here is not bad. Remember, it was not grounded. The chip wasn't grounded. That was just a bad socket. That leg was not making contact in that junk socket. So yeah, I'm going to solder chips right into the board. I'm not even using sockets for this basic TTL stuff. So, okay. Well, I'll get to it, do that, do these repairs, do the repair up here, put chips in here, and then we'll be back. Okay, I've got my Fluke 6502 pod hooked up to this thing. Yes, it is 6502. And I'm getting bad power supply. I've been getting a bad power supply warning. And my 5 volts is 4.92, so that should not be going off. My LED is not lit on my pod. I think this socket is bad. So I am going to replace this socket. I've just replaced all of these chips and put it back together and I put it back together and plugged it in, and I was getting the exact same thing. It's doing the exact same thing right now. You can hear it. I'm running it with the Fluke pod, but I got a bad power supply warning, and I got no LED on my Fluke, so I believe that we have a bad socket. So I'm going to replace that socket. Okay, so I replaced 3 sockets, these 2 and the CPU socket. And now you can see I have my LED on my Fluke lit up. and it's no more error about bad power supply. So that socket was definitely bad, but we are doing the same thing. Same thing on the screen. So yeah. So I'm gonna have to get the memory map for this game because I don't have it. And let me get the memory map for Crystal Castles and we'll go through some Fluke tests. Okay guys, after some searching around and some testing and probing around with my scope and finding some funkiness, I found out that no matter what I did, this was the one that was giving us the error, right? 4H, I believe it was. And anyway, no matter what I did, I swapped the RAMs around, put them in this. Whatever one was in this one was still bad. So I started probing around and I'm finding pin 3 on, no matter what I do, I put a good one into that one and pin 3's fine in here, but I put it in here and pin 3 goes bad. And I take this one, I put it over here and pin 3's fine. So I started looking at this guy, and if you flip this over and you look right here, this is pin 3 right here, right? You see the trace coming up? This trace is shorted to pin 1. So I'm going to have to clean that up. And hopefully that's the only trace issue on here. But yeah, I'm gonna free that up, remove that short, and we'll see what we get. Alright guys, this has been a real whodunit on this one. I don't know why. This hardware is a little different. But I was just poking around in the address decoding circuitry and I found a bad part. It's a 139 right here. I've just jumped over it right now. And I am running a screen RAM test with the Fluke. And you see over here it's doing its thing. Erasing the screen and so I'm now accessing the RAM anyway, but I think there's still, I need to replace that proper, but I think there's still a problem with it. So this isn't the end of, I've done a little maintenance work around here. I've cleaned up this area really good. I replaced this guy. I had cut a leg on this guy, so I just socketed it and replaced it. I socketed it because I wanted to do an experiment. I've got these CMOS ceramic 374s. I wanted to see if it would work proper in the boards. I really like these ceramic chips. They seem to be indestructible, so I went ahead and put that guy in there. But yeah, so I mean I'm accessing RAM now anyway, which is a great progress. You can see it's just doing its thing. So I'll let this run through. I'm gonna replace this guy proper, and then I'll be back. And I also pulled these two guys because I was really, I mean, this has been a mystery, this one has. But I pulled these two guys. One of them is used in decoding, actually. They're PROM chips, bipolar ROMs. I pulled them out and I verified that they were good, and I socketed them and put them back in the board. That's about all I've done. Done some cleaning, a little maintenance, like I said, you know, and I did beep every single trace on these dynamic RAMs to make sure, after I had fixed the one, you know, on the back side of this, there was one short. I removed that, and then I beeped everything else out and made sure that these were all good. And they are. And yeah, so I'll let this test finish up, and then I'll be back after replacing this guy. It's just jumped over there right now. Okay, now I'm doing a little Fluke stuff. I have access to ROM and RAM now. I'm going to do, this is screen RAM, which is 0C00 to 7 FFF. This one will strip the, I'm going to bring this guy way over here. Kind of watch the screen here. Let's adjust this. Oops. You see the screen kind of magically disappear. So I now have access to ROM and RAM, which means this thing should, right? I'm going to go ahead and let this test go through. This is a pretty lengthy test. It's a lot of RAM to read and write too. So I'll come back after it's done. Okay, that long RAM test is over with. That long range. So we're good. We passed. Program ROM and RAM is all accessible, so this thing should run right. So let's go ahead and do run UUT. Okay. Not so fast. So we still have a failure of some sort, but it's not ROM or RAM or that. Anyway, it's not related to that. It's something else in the system that is making this reset over and over and over. So there's some more parts of the schematic that we can look at. There's some more parts of the schematic that we can look at. I think I'm done with the Fluke. I want to put the Fluke up. I want to check the interrupt. I want to check the control signals to the CPU. And start right there. You start with the interrupt and that kind of stuff, and moving out from that, and just kind of going from there. But I think our Fluke work is done. Which thank you again, Fluke. And I tell you, I just be hard to do this stuff without this guy right here. So as far as CPU side goes, I think we're in pretty good shape, you know, as far as the CPU reaching and dumping information into the RAM and reading from the ROM and doing what it's supposed to do. That does not mean that this thing is getting the right control signals. When I have the Fluke plugged in, I can do it. But when I try to run this board, you heard it, it's resetting over and over. Something ain't right, so we'll go ahead and put the CPU in it and go from there. Okay, I popped the CPU in the guy. And it's working, but it's resetting. Just give it a second, it'll reset again. Very strange. Huh. Now it is looking like it's froze. Let me try to reset it. Just kind of short these two guys together. And it's acting really weird. Alright, let me do this. Let me get this guy and set this thing up. Okay. I am going to try screwing around with these ROMs. Oh, and I just moved it on you, didn't I? Jesus. Alright, I'm going to try something. Because I know a lot of times, I do know that sometimes if you try, well, this shouldn't make a difference, but I don't think this is going to make a bit of difference, but I'm going to try it anyway. This is not going to make a bit of difference. No, we'll save this guy. That doesn't make no difference. Okay. Alright, we still have a failure. I'm going to look at things like I saw something in the schematics saying auto increment. I'm going to look at that because that sounds... there's a power, kind of a power on deal here too. This is just going to take some good old-fashioned detective work, to be honest with you. So I'm just going to start, I'm going to pull a schematic up, I'm going to start poking around some of the control signal stuff for the CPU here. Let's do that and see where we get. I was just kind of playing around with some, I don't think this is a socket problem. This is a logic problem. So, okay. Okay, I went ahead and replaced, I'm going to replace these program sockets on the back row. Number one, I removed these two guys and there was some damage underneath I wanted to look at. I wanted to look at it really good, and it doesn't look like anything's broke, but there was some damage from where somebody dug down in here trying to remove ROMs. So that was the first reason why, and the second reason why is because these sockets suck. But when you're cleaning this up, go with the traces. Don't go against the traces. Go along with the traces. And then I'll take my fine point soldering iron and kind of get any of the flakies, you know, that are left over. And then you'll be ready to put your sockets in and go ahead and solder them in. So, alright, I'm going to go ahead and do that. When I come back, I'll have new sockets. Okay, so I got the sockets replaced. Looking really good. Cleaned up that kind of mess in between where it was, where a screwdriver had dug down in there and got that. I cleaned that up really good. Got new sockets soldered in, so I'm going to put the ROMs in there and we'll fire it back up and see if it does any better. Probably not. It'll probably do the same thing, but at least it'll have new sockets that'll last. Those other sockets were going to fail. So, alright, let's give it a whirl. Alright guys, this 193 right here is in, it's got to be in the reset circuit. And it had this cap soldered across a couple of, and right now I'm getting this kind of junk. Right? This is a reset circuit problem, I believe. If I take this cap and hold it on to this and just kind of try to hold it steady onto those two spots. Now let's wait for it to go through its reset cycle again. Normally it would reset at the I can't hold it on here. Yeah, I can't hardly hold it onto this. That capacitor's getting hot. And it's got something to do with this 193. I think I'm just going to look at it with the scope and see what it's looking like, what it's doing. I'm going to find it on the schematic first and then kind of find out what's going on here. Okay, well, I have replaced this 193 and I resoldered this cap onto it, but that is not the problem. It is running right now. I think this is a frequency problem. I really believe this is a system sync issue. Not a video sync issue, a system sync issue. And something that's always kind of funny is I'll put my probe on ground, and if you see here, I'm getting a frequency on ground. Probably was, now I'm not. That's interesting. Okay. Very strange. I was getting a frequency when I was probing ground. Now I'm not. Yeah, this is a weird one, man. But I do believe it's some kind of a sync issue. So I'm just going to go through the clocking circuitry and all of the sync, all of the sync lines and stuff is what I believe is wrong, because I get the same thing over and over again. It runs fine, as it should, and it will just flake out. So it's going pretty good right now, but it's not good, because it has reset issues. So I need to make sure that all of the system sync is perfect. Because I'm not kidding. Just a minute ago, I was putting my probe on ground, and I was getting like 300 kilohertz frequency at ground. So, yeah, weird. Yeah, it's not doing it now, but it was. Okay, interesting. I'm going to print off schematics for the all of the sync stuff. Just kind of look it over, because this it's working. As of right now it works, but it's really flaky. If I touch anything really that has to do with any of the sync stuff, yeah, it's pretty solid right now. Yeah, it seems to be okay right now. Alright, well, I'll be back. I'm going to look over that sync stuff. Well, during doing a little inspecting, this is my doing. You see the third leg up here? Third one right there? That is not soldered. We'll flip it over, I'll show you the other side. You see that? Yep. I forgot to solder that. That could absolutely make all the difference in the world. So let's go ahead and solder that guy and then see what we get. Okay, this thing has been on for about 2 hours. And it's running. But if I mess around over here, it will reset now and again. And what I have noticed is this Zener diode right here is in the reset circuit. And it gets so hot if you just hold your finger on it. Right now, it is hot, hot, hot. And it's just about now to where I can't keep my finger on it anymore. It's really burning right now. And that's it. That Zener diode right there, I think is a problem. That is a 8.2 volt. It's a 756A. So I think I'm going to replace that guy. And while I'm at it, I'm going to replace these 3904s in the reset and clock circuit. This one and this one. I'm just going to renew this little area a little bit with some of the really common easy stuff. So I think this is where my whole problem is with this thing resetting and being funky and not exactly wanting to work all the time. So I'm just going to take care of this area right here a little bit. Alright guys, this is a weird one. When I turn this thing on, it doesn't want to start right away some of the times. But when it is running now, it runs and it doesn't reset. It's 2 o'clock on Monday afternoon. I just played a game. It sounds great. I got 1 credit in and I put a high score up with the initials SAW. Hey, look at that. Look at this is like the initials that I put in. SAW. SAW. I never noticed that before. That is crazy. I wonder if that's yeah. Those are the initials that I put in, SAW. And that's the high score. I never knew that this game did that. That's pretty cool. But I'm going to let this thing run all day long. And if it's still up like this, like maybe tonight at like 8 o'clock, I'm going to let it run for 6, 7 hours. 8, 9 o'clock. If it's still good like this, I'm going to call it good. But yeah. Alright. Well, barring a failure, we'll call this one okay. You know what I think I'm going to set up? I'm going to play a game and see if I can't beat that high score and see if it'll do the same thing. Okay, and I'll go ahead and start it up. You know what? First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into test. I'm going to erase bookkeeping and put a new high score up there. Let's go to clear accounting, reset Hall of Fame. There, I think I reset the Hall of Fame. I think. So, yeah, see now that it says FXL or whatever. So I'm going to go ahead and put in a coin. Come on. Come on, man. Come on. That's a cheat. Of course, I do not have the jump button hooked up. It's just the player one start button. I don't have that hooked to anything. That gets me every time. Well, okay, now I'll put an initials in. Let's just... No, I grounded something on the board. Yeah, I was going to use this jumper to put in initials and I grounded something on the board and reset it. But yeah, it's working good. But I'll go ahead and put a credit in it or something like that and then go ahead and just leave it alone for the rest of the day. And if that credit's still on there, when I come back, that means it hasn't reset and it's good to go. So that'll do it. What did I do? This was a pretty extensive repair on this guy. I replaced all of these sockets. I replaced these 3 sockets on the big chips. All of this stuff that was socketed right here, I removed the sockets and put new chips in if they had already been soldered into the board. So yeah, there was a short on the back side of these rams, so I fixed that. Replaced both of these guys for some reason. This was a broken trace right here, so that's my fix on that. And that one was broke. I remember that now. Did a little work in this section right here. I replaced this Zener diode. And well, that baby still gets hot, so I guess that's just normal. I replaced it anyway. I pulled these 2 guys out and verified that they were good and socketed them and put them back in the board. I replaced some of the decoding stuff. I replaced this guy was bad. And because that one was bad, I went ahead and I replaced the 139 here, the 139 here, and the 138 here. I just replaced them. These 3 I replaced 157s because one of them was bad, I think. If you have to go back and go through it. And they were all old Fairchild parts, so I just replaced all of them. I think that's it. I believe that's it. But it's working now. So I'll let it go the rest of the day and see what happens. See if it acts good for me. And if it does, we'll call it good. Thanks for watching, guys. and we'll see you on the next one.